And welcome to Soul Brothers, Solana's finest podcast with my dear friend Eno and myself, Simon, where it is not only our job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole, but also to introduce you to some interesting and exciting personalities that are building on Solana.
Our mission is to take you on the latest and greatest so that you never run out of fun things to talk about. Simon, you're looking particularly handsome today. What's that? That cup looks extremely tiny.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That's a good start to the day. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So our next guest is very, very special to us. We've spent a lot of time with him. I actually remember a very specific party that we were both at over in Dubai, if I'm not mistaken. We could talk a little bit more about that later. He is the head of growth over at SNS, which is building the identity layer for all of Solana. You can do all sorts of things with SNS. And if you've been paying attention to the podcast, then you would know that they have dozens of integrations with all your favorite protocols, meaning that your SNS domain name gets more and more valuable over time. So it is our our honor to bring on a very special guest, the head of growth of SNS, christian.sol. Hey, Christian, how are you?
Hey, guys. Big fan of your show. Pleasure to be on. Looking forward to meeting you in person again.
Yeah, we're going to see you soon, probably.
So, Christian, do you remember this party that I'm referring to?
Yeah, I think originally it was supposed to be an ASAP Rocky one or like Travis Scott, and it ended up being some random dude. And then nobody. Right. It was a good experience, like meeting you and your wife.
Yeah.
That was the last time in Dubai, and then we're going back. I guess half a year afterwards.
Yeah. We're gonna find ourselves back in the UAE. Simon also actually spent quite a bit of time there. How long did you live there, Simon?
If you put it all together, probably like 1.5 years.
I see.
Something like that. But I never did a streak of like a year or something. I love Dubai, but I can't stand it for longer than 3 months. It is what it is. It's a bit too much. Not gonna lie.
I mean, speaking of the UAE, Christian, are you excited for Breakpoint?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Like, I want to end the year off with a big bang for us. This year has been like really good for us. Did a lot of initiatives in terms of like community projects, revenue as well too. So like a bit tired throughout the whole year because like we've been in so many events, but like really looking forward to like Breakpoint because it's basically the largest event in Solana, right?
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you're at the SNS headquarters right now, smack dab in the middle of Asia. So is that that's the SNS office right behind you, right?
Yeah, it is. You can see there's a lot of monitor. It's almost like a trading setup. Just because a few of us started as a trading background, so yeah, we're here. So
yeah, I mean, how big is the SNS team at this point?
We're on like 18 people, 15, 18
wow.
people. Yeah.
Okay, 18 people.
Around mostly remote. We have like 6 people here. But yeah, it's been good so far. It's almost 1 year for me. Exactly 1 year, actually.
Oh wow! It's been exactly. Well, congratulations, Simon. Quick, do you have a birthday cake?
Anniversary cake, basically.
Anniversary cake.
What did, if I may ask, Christian, what was the thing you did before SNS? Actually, like, did you work already in crypto or?
So yeah, I've been in the space since 2017. Before, like I was working with a bunch of content creators. Really good experience, just get to know like different projects. But then the ICO bubble popped, and I'm like, like this space is so scammy, right? Everything could be just bought up with a price, right? So left a bit, and then like came back during DeFi summer. And then I was part of a venture capital firm. Did that for like 4 years, and then I think earlier this year, just because I saw the resilience of the Solana community. And I just really want to go like balls deep into like big hands-on with project. So found SNS super interesting in a sense that look, like this company's been around for the past 4 years, so it's survived like multiple ups and downs and cycles, including FTX. It has a community, it has revenue, it has users, and a very vibrant community. Right? So then it's like, oh, like this is something very interesting for me to get involved. Just because like seeing the growth of Solana, I think it's basically tied up to like the growth of SNS as well too. And looking at the metrics in like ENS, SNS has a lot of potential in terms of like potential upside, adoption, and like new ways to like introduce utility to existing users.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of really cool stats, I'd like to bring this up. You guys actually just had your fastest quarter ever. This is absolutely nuts. Over 116,000 new registrations, which quarter over quarter is a 450% increase for unique registrants. And obviously, secondary sales are doing very well. I actually saw from your Twitter account that there was Gengar.sol that sold for like $15,000 or something like that. That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, first of all, like for the reports, like and the numbers, like one thing I'm very proud of, like everything we post is on chain. So if you go to our website, like the V1 version, you can see like our historical revenue, all our stats. So then like we decide to like, okay, look, why don't we just create like a quarterly report to like remind people, we've been doing really great in terms of progress and growth, and just wanted to make it really like fancy in terms of like not really fancy, but just make it very like easy for people to see and compare how much we have gone since like last year.
Yeah. So how would you describe 2025? I mean, you've been here for a year, but I'm sure you have some of the historical context for SNS's performance in previous years, maybe even a little bit of like history or culture. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what was 2025 like for SNS, and like, how have you guys changed or grown as a company?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of new blood into the company. And at the same time, it was very helpful to have a lot of people who's been with the company for the past project for the past 4 years to like, learn a lot from them. But it's also a way for us to like just like renew the platform and introduce like additional utilities and like community members towards growing this identity thing on Solana, right? Um,
Yeah.
my highlight is really being able to be on the grounds, going to all these like events and just meeting community members. I remember the first one we did it during Katsambul.
Hmm.
We did like a first community meetup dinner, and then like the result was like really positive in the sense that like there's so many people that I met like unknown, and then I actually meet them in real life, and we actually refer to each other as like, oh, you're like Bonbo.sol or I'm Christian.sol, right? So then it really like emphasized the importance of having like a separate identity from your real life, because like sometimes I ask them like, oh, what's your real name? It's like I'm not telling you. Like some people don't even disclose it, right? So then
Yeah.
like throughout the whole like journey for the past year, like just going around different like areas in the world and just like connecting with the community and listening to like their inputs on how we can do better is definitely very rewarding.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that I'd love to praise you guys for. It's actually two things. One is your on the ground BD, and the second is your interactions with community members. One thing that I've noticed is like, let's say that I go over to an event in Hong Kong, right? And then I see Ohm or yourself having a conversation with Flash Trade or I don't know, Jupiter, right? Then I'll notice that like 1 or 2 weeks after I saw that IRL interaction, suddenly there's a partnership announcement, right? It seems there's like this like
Yeah.
really replicatable pattern where it's all like SNS goes to an event, they meet the people that they need to speak to. CFL is another example of a team that you met over in Japan,
Oh yeah.
IRL. Yeah, and then like suddenly, like 2 weeks later, it's like okay, so we like have a campaign with CFL now. I'm like, what the hell? And
So it's funny you brought up CFL. So I spoke with the founder. So what CFL is? It like they have a game on like on Secret. Like everyone, like if you have time, please check it out as well too. But Ryan, what one of the founders, like we met up last 2 weeks ago during Accelerate Shenzhen, and then like we caught up. He's like he was really thankful the fact that when they were a hackathon project, they were only around like 300 followers on social media. But he said, oh, like because you guys decided to do the integration and do some cross promotion with us, like we grew from that to like a couple thousand, and like he was really thankful for that. And that's what really brings me joy. Like working here is being like very approachable, because we're not a super large company, so we still have the time and like capacity to like connect one on one with like different projects, new projects. And then just like seeing how we can help them grow. So like one condition we have is like, okay, as long as you have an integration with us, we're happy to see how we can like get yourself out there, promote you guys to our community, things like that. And then another thing is like I really appreciate like community members like tagging me on Twitter. So if anyone out there, feel free to tag me if you see projects that has an angle for collaboration. Always happy to just like ping them on DM and just like find ways to work together. So yeah, that's what gets me going on a day-to-day basis.
Actually, Christian, I think while you're talking about this, it is super smart to have big following and a big community as an identity provider like SNS, because that is a huge reason why protocols integrate .sol. Additionally to the mere fact of abstracting away the pub key, which is obviously the main reason to integrate it. But then at the same time, if you tell these projects, hey, if you integrate SNS, on average, you'll get a bump in your followers. A lot of these new projects, a lot of these kind of aspiring hackathon projects, it's a no-brainer for them to integrate it, right? So I think that's like talking about growth, which is literally your department. This is, I think, a very, very interesting angle, and probably one of the reasons why you are so well integrated in the whole ecosystem. Are you happy with the state of integration in end of 2025 right now when it comes to Solana, or do you feel like you have so much more work to do to get into all these protocols?
Very good question. There's so many things I could talk about. Am I happy right now? I'm very proud of what we've done last year in terms of integrations. Even MetaMask was a big one for me personally. The fact that they changed like MetaMask to like on Twitter to metamask.sol, I'm like, that's a big win for like the Solana community. But I think they had to switch it back to like .eth afterwards, right? But yeah, like integration wise, I think in the Web3, especially in Solana ecosystem, I think whatever makes the most sense, we're probably around like 80% there. So all the major wallets where they're working with, and it really creates like a flywheel effect, right? For SNS, it's like basically more integrations translates to more user signups, stickier your .so becomes, and then just keeps on going on that. I think the next step moving forward is like okay, now we are able to penetrate like the web integrations on the Web3 side. How do we think of more like Web2 utilities, or how do we tap into the Web2 audience, right? That's something I'm looking forward to like explore with everyone with the Solana community and also like my team as well too, to make it happen.
Well, yeah, that's a tough nut to crack, honestly, because the use case is inherently crypto native, right? Like, how do you convince my mom to own a .sol domain? She doesn't even have a wallet. So it is like the onboarding question is tough. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add another point as well too, right? Like I think looking back at the space, right, most naming services, the highest proven utility is really like airdrops, right? So basically, a lot of these projects have their own names, like .xyz whatever, and then they use it as a front end way to like help project identify key identities or users to distribute the airdrop, right? But what I realized alongside with other major naming services out there is like we try to aim for something different, and that's really by focusing on more integrations, right? Like it may not make money at first, but we're playing more of the long run game, right? Making it as a network tool to supercharge your experience on Solana, and like just adding utility beyond just the name.
So one thing that I'm super curious about is when you talk about Web 2 integrations, right? Like what kinds of things are you talking about? Is it something like, for example, being able to launch your own website using a .sol domain, which I believe is a use case that you already support?
Yeah, like it's you could do it through Brave at the moment, right? Funny, I just had a call with Brave yesterday. A great team, and then like one of the guys just showed up with a .sol hat in the cam. I'm like, whoa! Like, where did you get that? Like, because it's first time meeting him, right? It must be like Ohm and like Net's magic, like, by going to all these conferences. But yeah. So the browser one is definitely very interesting. Being able to resolve like .sol to like a website browser. We have that on Brave at the moment. So like let's say pith.sol can be resolved to like the Pith website. Solana can do the same as well too. So next step is like, how do you bring it to like like on a Google Chrome browser, right? Where like people can input like christian.sol and just directs them to like a website. That is somewhat interesting, but at the same time we're also conscious in how we maintain our like Web3 approach towards doing SNS. So I think this is something that like we could like we'll definitely continue to explore. But right now we're just like figuring out what makes the most sense and like just outweighing like the pros and cons of introducing Web2 utilities to SNS, right? Like, do we want to make it so that it's like Web2 driven or Web3 driven? Like I don't know. And I really want to hear like community's participation like moving forward to see how we can like drive this project forward.
I got a very good question as well. That I don't know if you have a great answer yet, but you remember, Chris, I introduced you guys to a company called Matterify a while ago, and
Yes,
the gentleman that Yeah, he's great. Like he's a cool guy. I met him on the conference.
I had lunch with him.
Oh, here you
Yeah.
go. I'm happy to hear that. That's great, man. That's really
We met
cool.
at met at Token. He lives in somewhere in like DC, like Virginia, somewhere like there.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyways, please continue.
So what these guys are doing is really interesting, right? And there's a lot of bits and pieces, but one piece I think is fairly interesting. I wanted to get your take on it and see if you guys are what SNS is thinking about this right now. And there's this private name to wallet transfer kind of thing, where they I think now have a patent on, if I'm not mistaken. But basically the use case is really cool. You can send funds to a domain name without exposing the pub key of that domain at any given point. I have no idea how that really works. Haven't looked into the infra below that, but the use case is really interesting because right now everyone talking about privacy. We have this hype again, and people are aware. Like that's always we have these cycles in crypto where awareness spikes for a certain topic, which is cool because then it becomes a melting pot for new ideas because people just start talking about it all the time, like we right now. So privacy is a big one, and private wallet transfers is something a lot of teams on Solana work on. But actually, domains are one of the starting points that can enable private transfers with technologies like this. So give us the TLDR of these ideas and conversations maybe you had with these guys and your own take right now internally in SNS when it comes to this topic of private kind of wallet to domain transfers without revealing the domain the pub key of that domain.
Yep. So yeah, it's definitely a very interesting topic that I previously was talking to different teams about it. I think with the solution that you mentioned before from the previous founder, they have it all set up. But the harder thing I'm just trying to figure out is the integration part, right? Because it's in a closed ecosystem, it's only specific for that wallet infrastructure, whereas what we're doing is very neutral in a sense that we don't compete with wallets. So then I think what they offered before is okay, you have a username, right? And you can shield your wallet because it can link to multiple wallets out there, right? But then the username is not very composable in a sense where like for us it's okay, any type of wallets, it's already integrated, right? So we really want to focus on that aspect. But for the privacy feature, we also have been exploring as well too, and just just brainstorming, right? That's more probably a wallet specific feature, the privacy thing. It could happen. But as of right now, what we're offering with .sol is more composable and decentralized. So it's
Yeah,
so figure out how where that privacy. Yeah, so there's pros and cons, right? We'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting topic. No, I appreciate that. Thanks for the answer. Hey, I have a question for you. What do you think are the 3 most expensive SNS domains in history? What are your top guesses based on the ranking that I'm just?
I know NYC.sol was quite an expensive
that's
one.
Number 8
so that
on the leaderboard.
That's number 8?
Yes, I want to hear the top 3. If you guess one of these, I'm gonna. We owe you.
Give me 2 more chances. Okay, so NYC.sol. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a short domain name. Is there anything called Sol.sol? Does that exist? Is that on the leaderboard?
On the 4th place, we have the icon, the little circle, the emoji. The emoji for Solana. .sol basically. But that's 4th place. I'm talking about the top 3, my friend.
Oh man. Okay. So let's see. I got one more chance. I got one more chance. Is it something simple, just like a.sol?
I mean, the first place is quite simple, but not that simple.
Okay. Sorry, what please don't tell me it's eggplant emoji.sol.
Almost. It's the diamond emoji. It is just the diamond.sol. And now this one, ladies and gentlemen, went for $60,000. So that's definitely diamond value. And then we have random ass Melania Trump.sol on 2nd place. I don't know why this is 2nd place, Chris.
So that was during the Trump crazy phase, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
When everyone started launching these Trump related tokens, and I guess somebody bought Melania Trump.sol. I'm like, wow.
But why not Donald Trump?
And the third one is a bit weird, yeah.
Yeah, the third one. When I saw this announcement, I was like, right on. It's just we talked about this, I think, on the podcast or somewhere. It's Jew.sol. JEW. So
we're not talking about that again. Skip.
You can skip. Like I had to have people like asking me, like, why isn't this displayed in the sales bar? I'm like,
why
do
not?
you guys really want to display it? Like, yeah. I don't know.
Skip.
Yeah, skip. But those are some fun facts, ladies and gentlemen, about SNS domains. So these domains, they can go for quite some money. And one last question for me before I give it back to Eno is secondary sales on SNS. How do you guys fixing currently and maybe planning to improve the user flow of secondary sales? Because on-chain sales can be tricky because you don't know how to get to that person that owns my domain. So if there's a person that has solbrothers.sol, how do I buy it if it's not on the open marketplace right now? Like I need to send them a message, but it's just a wallet. So how does I think people probably asking themselves a similar question, and I know that you guys already have things that help with that. So what can people do, and is there anything that you see can improve in the long term for secondary sales?
Yeah, great question. It's definitely something that everyone's trying to figure out as well too, especially since we have no renewals or proof of like liveliness. So then it's like it's once it's lost and we can't contact the person, it's really hard for us to reach it. So then in a way we try to incentivize people through various initiatives. First of all, for the upcoming quarter, we'll be introducing a new marketplace. Hopefully, it could reunite interest from existing .sol holders to look at the platform and to just populate their profiles so that it's easier for people to reach. Second, we have this. Even for the LFG campaign, we tried to incentivize people to link their socials to Twitter, Telegram, email, so they contact them. Not some people doesn't want to do it. I totally understand, but it's definitely their right to decide not to. But we try to incentivize people with additional rewards to do that process. And third is we're looking at ways how we can maybe once we have some type of verification, they can automatically ping each other on Discord and Twitter to increase the transparency and user experience. So there's definitely a couple angles. There's no perfect solution to it. Because some of the domains, if it's inactive, it's just inactive, right? It's really hard to reach. But one of the main features I like on the SNS website is I really like to stalk people in a sense oh, I wonder if who owns this and who owns that and what was the last activity, right? I don't think it's creepy. It's just interesting.
It's blockchain. That's the good thing about
blockchain, right?
it.
That's the good blockchain, right?
I still remember doing this in Web 2. Obviously, we can do it on social media anytime. But then also in Germany, where I'm from, we have every country has this publicly accessible registry of companies in Germany, right? Where you can just plug in the name of the company, and then you can for $2 you can download their financial statements and shit, right? It's all public. So I did that always in Germany to kind of I wanted to know how these companies are doing. And it's for me, this feels similar. You're stalking on chain, everything is there. So I think it's really cool. And this user flow works well, with the current social link. It does work, right? I did send a DM to our friends from the Sol Brothers validator, which is a coincidence. They just use the same name for their validator. They're only doing validators and they own solbrothers.sol. So I was like, guys, you're not really using that domain, are you? Yeah. And then can we buy it? And yeah, we haven't made progress on the negotiations as of now, but at least I'm in DMs on Twitter and I know this account is owning that domain. So that worked. I can attest.
And then we also have a large network as well too. Let's say yesterday someone asked me, oh, I want to buy tom.sol from the owner of tom.sol, right? So I reached out to the guy. He's doxed anyways. He's Tom from Monkey from 00.
So Tom Lee.
Yes. So then I'm like, yo, do you want to sell it? It's probably not. So we do have that connection, but it's just sometimes people just don't want to sell their identity, right? It's
of course,
how much are you willing to sell christian.sol? I don't know.
No, don't do it. I mean, if you don't need it, right? If it's just a dormant domain, then you guys should, go out there and try to buy them up. It's similar to what Twitter's now doing with the X handles, dormant handles and dead handles and so on. They should get suspended accounts. They don't need to be dead, right? Like they're dead since 10 years.
Yep.
They can go back to the marketplace. So that is a proactive initiative that X is actually pushing internally. And I think .sol can do a similar thing where you kind of identify, which domains are completely inactive, not used. The wallet has been dormant since 2 years. Let's try to somehow get in touch with these people and get that domain. Obviously, you can't click a button, which is the beauty of this decentralized tech. You cannot get that domain without his consent.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. But you can try to reach them. How much would you guys say? Or go ahead, Chris. Yeah, if you want to add on.
No. So another thing I tried to do is, right, you could just do like subdomains and you just blast it in your wallets, right? I want your domain .eno.sol.
Genius. That is actually very interesting.
So
that's a good
when
point.
you look at the long-term future of SNS, right? I'm kind of curious how you view primary sales versus secondary sales as revenue. So like if we look at like the bull case for SNS, let's say 5 years from now, right? And Solana is now at $1,000 and we've 100x'd our user base and we have so many more protocols that have all integrated .sol. And I'm sure you have these conversations internally, and there's probably a reason why you dedicate so much time and effort into making sure that you have a robust secondary sales market. But just genuinely curious, without disclosing numbers or percentages, kind of like where do you see the future of SNS? Is it kind of like where we are with Web 2, where like a lot of it is just like secondary sales now? Certainly there are plenty of primary sales, but I'm just kind of curious, like where your head is at there.
Good question, right? I think right now, our head is just focused on growing the adoption of .sol. So relative to like the Solana like monthly active users, I think we're just around like low 10% or maybe a bit under that. So if we just focus on primary registration, I think there's a lot of growth of that. For the secondary sale, we don't actually make too much from it in a sense that it's open source. Like basically, majority of our revenue is just basically from a one-time like primary sale, right? We have no renewals, but at the same time, we thought about, okay, if we were to grow this, idea of decentralized identity, so identity, your on-chain identity, it should be very accessible for people to access instead of thinking of like too much on the revenue side. So that's kind of our approach for now, until we reach a certain point. I think what we did is compared to 1 year ago, I think we already doubled our registrations in terms of domains. We're on track to hit 1 million next year.
Wow.
So in terms, yeah, I think that is probably the approach for the next year at least. Just focus on growing the adoption, getting more people to sign up for like SNS registrations. And the marketplace, it goes hand in hand because we do have a lot of existing users who hold a lot of domains and want to like increase, the sales and the trading volume of it, right? And then we have seen like people can actually make money from, flipping these domains, right? Identity is one aspect, right? But then, using as SNS as a collectible, as an NFT or whatever they want to label it as, is another one. So then, that will still continue to improve, and like the platform will continue to be easier for people to buy and sell. But I think the majority of our like revenue that's supporting the team is still coming from like primary sale.
I see. I mean, you have all sorts of ways that folks can make money with their .sol domains. Like obviously part of the mission, I'm sure, of getting people to register for .sol domains is just to increase utility of those domains. And so another thing that I'd like to bring up, aside from very cool, if you think of a very dope name and you're able to sell it later, that's a secondary sale. However, you also are refreshing how you folks are doing your referral program tiers, right? So in the past, there were kind of like 4 different tiers, right? The highest tier, VIP 3, you need over 20 million SNS to qualify for that. And the referral fee is very generous, about 20%. The discount to the invitee is 5%. The proposal that you have, and it's not live yet, this is on Realms, is that, you want to reduce the bars, right? So the barriers to entry so that folks can, even with a smaller amount of SNS, they can still, benefit from really high referral fee revenue share, as well as like discount to invitees. So just kind of genuinely curious, like what's the thought behind this initiative?
I think we should reward people who are constantly like sharing their, .sol or like showcasing their .sol to social media. That's why we decide to, instead of using a specific referral link, like you could actually just use your .so name. So that makes it super easy. And then we looked at we're actually a very data driven company. So we looked at our previous proposal of like referrals. We realized a lot of people weren't able to achieve that certain threshold to unlock certain categories of like referrals. So we're like, okay, why don't we lower the barrier right now, and then like see where that goes. And then yeah, like very happy to see that this proposal has passed. I think as of like this morning. And then that's another thing we're planning to do is like with this community voting. This is not a DAO everywhere, by the way, but we just want to like introduce more concepts to get the community involved in the future direction of how the project should be moving, and eventually we'll probably introduce more interesting topics like later on. But like as of now, like we just want to do tiny steps first to see how, like what's the feedback before we like decide to pull off something like much like uh, protocol changing in the future.
I see. So even though the voting ends in 2 days, you already have reached quorum as well as the necessary amount of votes that to pass it. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. It's like calling an election super early, right? it's like, this election goes to Donald Trump.
Yeah, and then we're not voting from ourselves as well too. So we really want to see get input from the community.
Simon, how do you feel about SNS's community? They're fucking nuts, right?
One of the best on Solana, not gonna lie. Like there's a few standouts. I'm super happy of the set of partners we aligned for Sol Brothers, because I love the communities of all three of these brands. And SNS definitely is a standout as well. And we experience it every time we're on podcasts and so on. We have always amazing people joining here in these. And yeah, it is special. It's a very special community because it is identity tech, and identity is literally it's who you are on chain, right? So people identify a lot with their SNS domain because that's in the nature of doing identity tech, and that in turn creates a really unique community, in my opinion, because of this factor that people identify themselves so much with it, right? It's literally part of who they are on chain. And on Twitter and on social and so on, right? Some of the people use the .sol, and I'm sure Christian does something similar on various social media accounts, not only on Twitter. Like it becomes part of who you are in the internet, which is really special. It doesn't compare to anything else, I think.
Yeah, I kind of feel like almost. I mean, everybody I know has a .sol domain, and when I think about goated communities, Jupiter is up there, Bonk is up there, SNS is up there, Soulflare obviously is up there. Christian, like what's the work that you guys put in to create a community like that, right? Like what give us like the alpha, right? Like how might someone try to create a community as engaged as yours?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, right? It's funny because like there was a couple like last month ago we had panel sharing. I wasn't the speaker, right? I think Net was, or Asia lead. But it's interesting to see how communities can be created in different verticals alongside with consumers like IP. So like in the panel there was Bonk, which just started off from a meme token, right? Pudgy Penguin from NFT, and there was like SNS, which is from domains, right? So how it worked for us is just I think similar to all the other projects out there. It's just like being very community centric, right? Being as approachable as possible, like on the grounds. And also, I think what really helped is we're looking out for just not the key like big projects out there. Like we're very like like approachable in a sense that like if you have 300 followers, you are still part of our community. Like I would still find time to talk with you. Based on like you're not a scammer or you're not some like random like bot trying to talk to me, right? But like if I could see genuine conversation and ideas, like like I would spend the time to just jump in a call and like just jam things out, right?
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think in all the other like communities that you mentioned, right? It's just like being very approachable is something like that I've been noticing. Like with Soulflare, they have a really good Guardians program, and with Jupiter, they have a really like a good cadet program as well too. So like with us, we have our ambassadors. We also have our like mascot .sol. Hopefully we can like introduce more like IP stuff like during break program as well too. But I think that's the key is like finding something for common interest for people to unite and to associate with, and then that's what makes the community very strong.
So are we going to see .so over at Breakpoint?
No, yeah, I'm a big fan of Pokemon cards, right? That's why I was a big fan. When I saw Gengar.sol, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And then Collector Crypts was one of them we highlighted. But like, we're gonna be showcasing these cards.
Hey,
Like,
this is super cute.
yeah, it's just something like fun giveaways that we'll be doing. So
Did
you'll
you
see
put it
more.
in a card sleeve?
Yes.
Why
Yes.
is it in the card sleeve?
Because it looks so much cooler, you know. Like I don't know. Like, I have my Pudgy cards too, you know. It's just, I don't know. I started like last night. I was like ripping like Pokemon packs, but that's a different topic. But it's just nostalgic, like putting in the card sleeve and the card case.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we try to do more like fun engagement. So like regarding to our mascot as well too. Like every like country we do like a local activation. We try to have like localized like stickers and like theme to it.
Mhm.
So then like people can just associate ourselves with like with that as well too. So I think IP is another one that we're trying to work on as well too.
Yeah, I mean, I think another thing that you folks have done extremely well, and this has helped a lot with the education around .sol, is that like even my initial perception when I first started working with you guys is that all the .sol domains had to be in English, right? Which was completely fucking wrong, right? Like you can have .sol domains using Spanish characters or Chinese or Korean, Japanese, Arabic, what have you, right? I don't know how the Arabic works because it's kind of like it's like reverse and then like .sol, but anywho. But another thing that you've done with your community is you've done a very good job of creating your own version of like super teams, right? Like for your brand. So you have the SNS community in Japan, the SNS community in Malaysia, the SNS community in Hong Kong. I mean, like you guys are everywhere, right? So like that also is, do you feel like that region by region respect that you pay helps a lot in terms of like education around .sol? And like, what does the growth of non-English .sol domains look like for you?
First of all, like going back to Ambassador, that's one of my highlights as well too this year. Kudos to our head of comm Celine for like driving this as well too. Just it's so fun to meet like people like ambassadors from like different regions. Like when you go to events, like oh you're from Japan, you're from Vietnam, and like and then they also have like proposals like how they're gonna do like community events, and then they're like super loud in Discord in terms of providing ideas. So like yeah, like it's been a very like positive and memorable experience. It's definitely one of my highlights. Going to like foreign languages, right? We're still figuring it out. Um, that's why we go to like Korea, Japan, do these activation to see what's the best use of like Korean or Japanese specific like domains. Um, in Breakpoint, maybe we'll do something very big since we supported that as well too, right? But I think it's a very interesting space. For example, recently, not sure you've been paying attention with like Solana. It's like so basically Chinese community. So, at first,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so that yeah, like Mabel.sol, like she like basically ran a company on like anyways, so this the Solana like thing became like a trend, and then so we decided to register Solana.sol and we gave it to their community, and then like right now like, they just created like a subdomain community out of it, and then like it's
Ooh.
been super vibrant. So like I think different region like I think it's one of the more successful like Chinese subdomain community that we've seen. So I think the strategy is like just continue to like stay grassroots and just find ways to be relevant to like certain topics and narratives out there in different like regions of the world.
I mean, not going to lie, if you had to pick two different languages that you would succeed in, English and Chinese are not bad picks.
Yeah.
Because even the Chinese characters can be recycled by the Japanese community as well as even parts of the community, Korean community in a sense, because we all use the same characters more or less. Okay. Well, Christian, it was so great to have you on the podcast. Is there anything else you'd like to share or talk about before you go?
No, I'm very excited to meet like you guys in like Breakpoint. Like I gotta eat more eggs like
Let's
Simon.
go.
I only have 2 eggs a day, but
Two. Okay, we gotta work on that, my friend. We gotta
no,
get the egg count
I'm
up.
really excited to see how like to see like to meet like people from your community as well too. I mean, you
Let's
guys
go.
have been doing great like podcasts and stuff like so.
Mhm.
Yeah, like looking forward to like catching up.
Awesome.
Oh
Next
man,
one.
somebody already owns eggs.sol. I just looked it up.
Oh,
Obviously it's a rare
maybe
one,
the
but
emoji works. You can try the omelette emoji or the poached egg emoji. Dot
Hey,
sol.
omelet?
m-
Are you doing play on words like AOM lit?
Oh,
that's actually sick. More eggs.sol is available. Let's try omelet should totally work.
Omelet.
omelette. That is actually. Did you just come up with that on the spot?
Yeah, I just came out with that.
Yes. Love that.
That is genius.
That would be pretty funny. If you can make a meme from that, that'd be so hilarious.
You should buy it, and sell it to
Ecstatic.sol.
for $1,000.
Yes.
Chris, it has been a pleasure to chat. Thank you so much for coming on to Soul Brothers, sharing some of your thoughts and visions as well for the future of SNS. We're super happy to be part of this whole journey. And we will see you very soon. If you guys want to learn more about SNS, then I think the Twitter account is the best way to get started, really. It is very simple. The handle is just SNS. So just look for SNS on Twitter. Make sure to follow them and get your own .sol domain, because then you're part of the family and the community. We definitely need to get soulbrothers.sol, because then we also have a referral link, because right now we don't have a good one. So we can share the ones we have, but you can use any domain you own at .sol and use it as referral link, as a slug on the ref domain. So it's actually a really cool feature as well. Chris, has been a pleasure. You have a good day, and we will see you very soon.
Adios.
Adios. Bye-bye.